This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone that's logged in so far. Just want to say thank you for joining us. We will give a couple courtesy minutes after 6:30, just to allow anyone that might join us just after the start time. But just hang in there and then we'll get started. Okay, everyone, we're just going to give a couple more minutes to see if we have any late joining us. Hi, everybody. My name is Alexis Brown. I am the Assistant City Manager with the City of Imperial. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. So with us tonight, we do have our Mayor Pro Tem, Corinne Eugenio, our City Manager, Dennis Morita, and our Park Superintendent, Mr. Tony Lopez. So a couple of quick things. I'm going to share my screen. And let me see here. If we're here to talk about the results of the survey with Paseo Del Sol, the small and large park areas. Just a couple of quick things. We do ask if you have any questions. If you look in the top right-hand corner, you'll see this little bubble for the chat. That's our chat box. If you have any questions throughout the meeting tonight, please put them in there and we'll read those aloud. You can either post them for everyone to see or you can send them directly to me if you'd like to remain anonymous. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Morita just to give a brief overview. Some of the questions that came up during our last virtual meeting were as far as CFDs and how are those allocated in our subdivisions. So, Mr. Morita.
Thank you, Alexis. Dennis Morita, City Manager. And I just want to spend literally a few seconds talking about community facilities districts. You might have also heard of them referred to as Melrose. But in essence, this particular district was formed when your development was built and there was just the developer owner of all of the property. For our purposes tonight, of interest to all of you and us is that part of what you see on your property tax bill, which can be devoted to park improvements. So hopefully what can come of all of this is that we put the money that you pay on your property tax bill to a use in your park areas that you want to see. And if you have any more detailed questions about Melrose and how your annual property tax is calculated, feel free to ask and we will get back to you. Don't want to get into the detail of that tonight, but we're happy offline to walk you through the process by which those taxes are calculated and then ultimately approved by the council at public hearings to which you should all receive notice of and are invited to attend. But with that, I'll turn it back to Alexis and Tony to get into the real reason why you're all participating tonight. And again, thank you for your presence.
Thank you, Dennis. And then just real quick, as I've shared my screen here, I'm at cityofimperial.org. And if any of you ever have a question as to what do your CFDs cover, where can I find more information, if you are on our home screen and go to our living tab up here, new and long-term residents, the second link, community facilities district. And this is where you can find that information. There's a map that you'll be able to look for, say, where your house is in that subdivision and see if it falls under, the Paseo del Sol here. Also note that the Paseo del Sol is part of the Bratton. So we just wanted to make sure that you were all aware where this information can be found on our website. But like Mr. Morita said, that is not why we are here. We are here to talk about our last meeting. We reviewed some of the challenges that we have with the Paseo del Sol park and in that area. And I'm going to leave it to Mr. Lopez if you'll kind of review the environmental issues that we've encountered there. Because one of the main questions that we got last time and that we hear is why can't we, grow grass? There used to be grass there. Why can't we do that now? What does it take in order for us to get to that point? So if you'll kind of go through that, Tony.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everybody here, and good evening. So just to go over briefly the conditions of the soil in that retention slash park. There's been several soil samples taken from that park to test to see if we can get for growability, for grass. There's a few other things that have been looked at as well, leach, drain tiles and such. As I understand it right now, we're not able to do the drain tiling because it is it is not allowed by the State Water Control Board to do so. The alkali level in that lower section of each retention basin, small and large, are just so high that as the moisture from the rains and the waters hold there, it really brings all that alkali to the surface and kills just about anything it comes in contact with. Just for a reference, you usually see when you have a lot of moisture and rain and just about every empty lot that you drive by throughout the city, you'll see weeds and salt cedars and things like that grow because of the moisture from the rains. And you really don't see that in this park here because there is very little growability in that bottom portion of the retentions on both sides. That is why if you look at each park, mainly the larger side, you have the landscaped areas that are above the retention, or there's mounds there that have some plants and trees that are elevated above the flood line. So that's just a few reasons why we know grass and things of that nature would really be something that we would not be investing wisely, and it wouldn't last very long. If we could install grass, we wouldn't get a return for our investment.
Thank you, Tony. And just to also some more information as far as looking at artificial turf, because that was also brought up. And unfortunately, that would not be able to be a longevity option either. Not only the maintenance, but also the alkali, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, would also eat up through the artificial turf over a period of time, and we would be back to where we're at now.
That is correct. The cost for the reward is just not there. It would, over the period of probably a year or two, eat right through that turfing. I've seen metal that we've had in there corroded. That alkali is so high in there that it would corrode and eat through that turfing pretty quick.
Thank you. And for those of you that have joined us and participated in the last meeting, I know that this may seem like a repeat of what was discussed then, but we just want to make sure that everyone understands the obstacles in front of us. And now we can get to the results of the survey. And we want to thank all those that participated. So what you're going to see here, we had a 2-question survey as to what would you like to see in the park that we can do, and from that, your responses for which of the below improvements would you most like to see in the large park area. And out of we had 218 responses out of 535. So that's the amount of individuals in the area that did participate, and we appreciate their feedback. Your first place in the large area, if you would assign it that, is out of 151, and that's walking and jogging trails. Second to that, concrete pads, gazebos, and barbecue grills. Obviously, more areas that would encourage, family outings and gatherings to allow the residents to come out and enjoy the open areas. The third would be benches surrounding the playground and more of those, refresh of the playground, the footing there, and allow for that. And last place, we had put that in as far as a Frisbee golf course with concrete launching pads and benches. And so that was the last place in the ranking of improvements wanting to be seen in the large park area. So, and secondly, we had which of the below amenities would you like to see added to the small park? Out of that, we did have a workout equipment station. Some of you may have seen that. Another option was a walking path for accessibility to the court, the basketball court there with enhanced features, and bench seating around the basketball court. So out of all of that, it was the top request or top response was walking paths. Second was the workout equipment station, and think of that as its own playground, if you will. It's more focused on physical activity and fitness in the outdoor area. And third, not far behind, was bench seating surrounding the basketball court. So these are all the responses. We realized that And actually, I will say that when community outreach was done several years ago in the development of this park, it was a very similar response that we had. So with that, we do have some improvements that we're going to be able to make immediately, and I will let Tony get into what those are going to look like.
Okay, absolutely. So what we're going to be doing here in the very near future is the concrete pads, gazebos, and lateral sidewalks from the larger park on the north side of the sidewalk next to the playground. You're going to see a few laterals and gazebo structures on the west side of the playground there. If you guys can all see that map. There's already one on the east side of that sidewalk, and you'll see it in that area just north of the sidewalk. And we're going to add there the laterals that connect with the existing sidewalk to a concrete pad with a bench, a barbecue grill, and a gazebo structure for shade. And we're looking also to add another gazebo and accessibility for the smaller park on the west side, as far as a pad structure and bench and grill. We can probably add another grill to the existing shade structure and table that are already in that smaller park. Another one of the improvements that we could do here in the near future is the seating incorporated into the basketball court for when there is, you're running a series of games and you want to sit it out for a little bit. We can incorporate some seating around or on the very ends of that court there. And those are the things we hope to get started. Another thing too would be the refresh of all the islands that are already have some landscaping in the larger retention park. And when I say a little bit of an improvement in the curb appeal with new DG and new plants in all of those islands in that larger park, I believe there's where the islands are, and those are a few things that we'll be looking to add on here as soon as October. And do you want me to touch on the other stuff that we had talked about, Alexis?
Yes, that would be great.
So also we're looking to incorporate walkability and accessibility as far as the survey had indicated for both sides, the larger and smaller park in the form of walking paths that would essentially connect from the sidewalk in the larger park and then loop around and give you a walking trail throughout that retention, and also walking trails on the smaller side that would connect both the concrete entry points and lateral to the basketball court and to the gazebo feature that's going to be added in that smaller park. Now, another thing that's going to be added in the near future, and we're still working out some details on the walking paths and the workout equipment, is the workout equipment which would be placed in the large park on the south side, south corner on the bottom of your of the. There you go. Thank you, Alexis. This is where we're looking to put our workout station here, and when we're doing the design for the walking path throughout the larger park, we're going to incorporate as much, accessibility. Of course, we already have an access point right there on the west side of the park there, and we'll be lateraling from there to our feature. adding some seating around our feature, and we're still looking into what the best fit for the and the design of all that's going to be. But that's what we're looking to do to improve and make these two parks more user friendly for the future.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so one of the questions that we have, when are you planning for this to happen? We are going to get started on this as soon as October. Some of the things that we can do in-house. So with that, we do obviously, as being a public entity with certain maintenance contracts, those do have to go out for bid. So some work we'll be able to complete in-house. Others will have to go a little bit further into the construction portion of it. But as Tony indicated, as soon as October, you'll start seeing those concrete pads being poured, and the trails and the enhancements of some of the curb appeal things going in. The gym equipment, playground, I say playground, but it's the gym equipment, and I apologize, I don't have a visual as to what that's going to exactly look like. But we will be sure to continue to communicate with you all on that. That takes a little bit longer time. So Tony, one of the questions we have that just came in is, will the trails be raised so when it's flooded, they don't get messed up like the current ones, which I know we've talked about?
Okay, so that's all part of the process when we're designing these things. We want to make sure that these features, whatever is added inside of those parks, is going to last a long time. So in the design process, yes, there is those things that are incorporated, not only for the walking paths, but for the actual workout equipment, the curbing around the workout equipment, since it's a retention basin and is prone to flooding, how high that's going to be, what kind of surfacing we're going to use. It's going to get we're going to get more life out of down there, whether it's rubber surfacing versus wood fiber, and all these things. But yes, and to give the short answer, yes, all these things will be in the design process, and if it goes to contract, we will put it out in the scope of work to account for all these issues that we've had in the past, so that it won't repeat themselves.
Perfect. So if there's any other questions, again, please put those in the chat box. And also, we want to highlight the items that we've presented here are items that we currently have funding for. So these items are not subject to funding. We will continue to look for funding and grant opportunities to enhance other amenities and look at additions that we can make for those improvements. But we recognize that there is a need for improvements now. And so what can we do right now? And that's what we're here to present to you today within our capabilities of moving things forward. Since there's only 11 of us on here, I'm just gonna kind of go around, and if each of you would like to make a comment or address us and ask your questions, I think since there's only a few of us, it'll be fairly easy. So I'm just gonna go in the order of what's on my screen. I see Mr. Michael Valenzuela. Do you have any questions, or all you need to do is unmute yourself? Oh, okay, thank you. Or put it in the chat that you don't. And I apologize if I mispronounced your name, but the next one I have is Tony, D-O-N-I, Danelli.
There you go.
No questions.
No questions? Okay.
No.
I have Juan C. Did you have any other questions?
Yes, one of the things that we had asked last time was about, by the way, thank you for everything you guys are doing. You guys are amazing. One of the things that we had asked about, is there any possibility of getting like a bus stop or something around the park? Because we don't have any, to my understanding, in the almost 4 years that I live here, I don't see any bus stops around our area.
So when you refer to bus stops, are you meaning the Imperial Valley Transit bus stops, or are you looking at school bus stops?
Actually, yeah, it would be for the transit, the Imperial Valley Transit, and also has seen that like our kids, like the students, kind of like just go right there by where the park is, but there's no bus stop or anything like that.
A dedicated bus stop?
Yeah.
So for the Imperial Valley Transit, that is assessed by, it's the Imperial County Transportation Commission, and they're assigned those transit stops. I do know that there's a few on Ayton in that area. Typically also what will dictate that and is the walkability to those stops. I do believe there's also one on Clark. But we can ask as to if any others will be placed in the area and get that information back to you. As far as the school goes, I do know that that is a designated bus stop there along the north end of Paseo, on the corner of Cross and Paseo in that area. As far as getting anything dedicated with benches, we can definitely check into the school district with that.
Thank you.
Next, I see Patty Valenzuela.
Hi. No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Brianna Cabellos? I apologize if I mispronounce names.
That's okay. No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Ryan Jeffries?
Yeah, I got one for you.
Okay.
My question is, one of the reasons why myself and my family really don't use the park, besides the fact that it's kind of, well, for lack of a better word, fuchi, is the bugs. You know, whenever it rains, that's a disaster area. And when it's super dry, that's a disaster area. So and the bugs and mosquitoes, and I saw you making your paths going across the big park, and I'm thinking, like, as soon as I go outside and as soon as I hit the park, I get attacked by thousands of little critters. And by the time, if I made it across the park, I would have about 400,000 different kinds of mosquito bites. Anything that can be done to alleviate disgusting little bugs?
Absolutely. We can, Tony, I think you can probably speak to that, some efforts we can make with our vector control and environmental health.
Yeah, so what I can do is I can reach out to Imperial County Vector, and they place some deterrents or traps at the county parks for mosquitoes and things of that, and bugs and stuff like that. So I can reach out to the vector control and see what they can do to help alleviate the problem a little bit anyways. I know bugs won't completely go away, but there's something I can follow up with vector on and see what we can do, and maybe we can put some kind of a trap or some kind of a system in place within the trees that would help mitigate that a little bit. But yeah, absolutely, we can check into that.
Carlos Garcia. Okay, Margie Padilla.
Hi. First, I want to say thank you to you guys for doing this. I know it takes time, and I appreciate it. I have a couple ideas. I mean, I don't know if you guys are open to hearing them. I mean, most of it seems like you guys kind of already are heading towards where the ideas that I had. But for the larger park, I really would like to see more like places where kids could actually ride their bikes or walking, which it seems like you guys are already looking into it, already like planning it out. But I also had an idea of a skate park, like a mini skate park, because a lot of our youth are hanging out in areas they shouldn't be. They're skateboarding. I see them skateboarding all the time at the school, at Cross Elementary, in the parking lots, and I see the cops telling them to, to leave, and I don't blame the youth for, finding areas to go skateboard, and I just feel like it'd be a great benefit for the community, in our little community, to keep them away from areas they shouldn't be, because they also go and play in the dirt hills in front of Cross Elementary, which is extremely dangerous because there's lots of metal and God knows what they throw out there. And so I know that was an issue too, because a lot of kids were riding their bikes, dirt bikes, and everything back there. So it's just an idea. I know it's all comes down to cost and budgeting, and but just something small for them to like actually skateboard, even just like the smallest little thing, I think they would be totally happy with. But I mean, just even riding our bikes, being able to go on a bike ride in our park, or go, exercise, go running in that little park. If we could add a little bit more trees so we have more shade, that would be awesome. And then for the smaller one, I think you guys are on it. I mean, I love what you guys are gonna do, the seating and the, I like what you guys have planned out. I'm actually really surprised that you guys are. I love it. I love that what you guys came up with. So I'm happy with it, because at first I wasn't happy with the choices that were there, but now that I actually see the plan and how you guys are, trying to go about it, it's great. I mean, I know the alkaline is just terrible, terrible. So there isn't much that we can do. I know that. So, I mean, I would like, if we could, maybe even like work on the hills, that dirt lot that's empty, across elementary. I thought that we were going to turn that into a park for a while, so I hadn't really like said anything. I was all excited, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know if you guys decided not to go that route, but is there any way also that we can, it's totally changing the subject, that we can add more soil to the existing parks? I mean, will the alkaline always come up? Because I know the alkaline is tough to get rid of. It's completely, hard to get rid of. But I mean, I'm just kind of like disappointed with our parks. I just wish we had a nicer park for our kids. But those are just my ideas. That's all I have.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And there's a couple of points definitely want to address in that. With regards to a skate park, yes, funding is a challenge, but also the parks are retention parks, and the more concrete you pour in there, the more space it takes up. And so it's not able to fulfill its purpose in the event of a mass flooding, is one of the concerns there. And also the design and engineering that would have to go into a skate park. We would have to build an entirely new park in a different area, which kind of gets to that property across from Cross Elementary that you mentioned. That was privately owned, and it was recently purchased by a developer who will be finishing out that development. So it will not be a dirt lot in the future. They'll actually be putting through Rosarito Drive to Cross and finishing out the building of the homes in that area. And then as to the soil, I'll let Tony, if you want to talk to what that would take.
Well, just to sum it up, it would take a lot of money. That is, trucking costs are very, very expensive. And that would be something that if we were ever to consider, would have to go out. And again, like Alexis said, adding soil would defeat the purpose of what it was intentionally built for, which was to be a retention. You add soil, I mean, you could add soil and potentially re-engineer the entire thing to where you would have the drainage that it needs to have, but the engineering costs and the trucking costs, when you start to add in prevailing wage and things of that nature, it would just skyrocket the price of that. that thing. I do agree with you, and I'll touch on another thing you mentioned about the trees. We did add trees in the on the islands when we replanted those trees. Then we added the trees around the edges. We're going to look at all of that when we redo the hills that are landscaped and add new plants. If we can put another tree in there, we will do so. You know, if we can provide more shade, that park absolutely needs more shade. And we can start there and move forward. But like Alexis is saying, a lot of these things, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be considered before we take a step in any direction, because just the way these retentions are engineered and what their specific intention is, you know, you have to take all that into account when you're adding more dirt or changing the slope or the terrain. There's a lot of factors in there. So and without all that, it comes at a high cost. So just to kind of address a couple of the questions you had.
I remember in the past I went to a city council meeting and Marty Coyne was there, and he mentioned that it was that when you guys made that park, it was dug in too deep. Like you guys went a little too far down, and that's why the alkaline came up. But I'm just saying there's got to be a way to like to fix that. You know, I was just thinking, well, I'm pretty sure he's the one that bought that land. You know, he's gonna build over there in front of Cross Elementary and that land. No, it wasn't him. Oh
No.
But anyways, yeah, I remember. Yeah, so I just remember him saying that, you know, we that it was dug in too deep, and so that's why I was thinking that maybe we could bring dirt back into it, and then, you know, I know that it has its purpose. It was dug that way for a reason, like you said, but it's just that like the water collects down there, mosquitoes, and it's not good for our kids to be there. So those are all my questions. Thank you, and I'm really happy with what you guys came up with. You know, I'm excited to see it. We're always outside, so we'll definitely be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you to everyone for participating with us this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Eugenio, do you have any comments for the group?
Yes, I do. If you can just give me 1 second, I'm going to log in on the computer.
While we wait, Dennis, do you have any comments?
I appreciate the participation, and indeed you can we will address the questions that were raised, particularly with respect to the vector control. I think that's something that we want to make sure that we address, because no matter what we do to the park, if you can't get out there and enjoy it because of mosquitoes and other sorts of critters, then it won't get us where we want to be. So certainly we're all taking notes, and so those things that were brought up tonight, I think, will certainly be looked at. So again, just thank you much for your comment and participation.
We're just waiting. Mayor Pro Tem will join us. I take it that's one of the little ones that enjoys the park, I hope. And when Ms. Padilla, one of the comments as far as bringing in more soil, I know in the beginning of the meeting we kind of talked about a tiling system and a leach line. If we could put in any of those systems as agriculture fields do, then we would be able to work against the alkali. But unfortunately, the state will not allow residential parks to have. Corinne? Uh-oh, there we go. You're muted. There we go.
All right. Hi, Margie. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was driving. I listened to the whole meeting, but I'm just now to the point where I can um, sit down. So Margie, I really like your ideas. I had this vision for the bigger park like you did, Margie, where it's kind of like a biking or walking trails to just kind of go with the natural climate and kind of forget the idea of grass is just not going to happen there. But one of the things that I've heard is the dust or the mosquitoes and those things. So I understand why that's um, problematic. Alexis, is do we have the ability to plant more trees around, or Tony, around the edges to kind of contain the dust and maybe I know they did that like along the New River with bamboo trees. I don't know if that's something we could look into for later.
So when we had the tree grant in November, we put 27 trees new into the Paseo Park, both small and the large side. We did plant um, just about all the islands down below, as well as much of this, as many trees as we can put on the outer portion of the large and small park. But absolutely, if I can find a way to put more trees in there, I am very pro tree, shade, and anything to help, with user friend to make it more user friendly and accessible for our residents. Absolutely, we can look at that when we're refreshing those islands to add more trees, and certainly around in the bottom hills of the larger park, and then also more trees around the larger park and around the perimeter. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And thank you to everyone for coming tonight. Thank you, Alexis, Dennis, Tony, all the Paseo del Sol residents. I know how passionate you are about that park. I feel the same way. Obviously, I have a 5-year-old as well, and it hurts my heart a little to see parks in disrepair. So I empathize, and it means as much to me as it means to all of you. An idea that I was thinking of that I was talking to Alexis about earlier was people have brought up the idea of skate parks, which I know would be really expensive. It's a lot of concrete, and it's really not an option with the amount of funds we have. But I've been following your Paseo del Sol page for a while, and I noticed that sometimes kids put ramps in the streets for either for bikes or for skateboards or whatever. Would building like some kind of like a small ramp into the park, or would that be a possibility? Would that be something that people would be interested in? I know our skate parks are closed right now, or our one skate park, but I don't know, maybe that might be something to get kids off building those ramps off the street and maybe do it inside the bigger area.
We can look at that. That wouldn't be so difficult to do. We with taking into account everything else, and not messing with the design of the retention. If we can incorporate something, we can look at all options. Nothing is off the table, and I say that knowing that we have limited funds. There's a certain amount where as you know, that those funds are going to take us very far, but we want to get started on this park. We want to incorporate things that will make the park more user friendly sooner than later. But no options are off the table until I have information that tells me I can absolutely do it. So absolutely, we can explore all options, and I can look into that and see what we can do in that aspect for. But yeah, I'm pro parks like yourself, Corinne, and I want all our parks to be user friendly, accessible to all age groups, young and old, or I don't want to say old, that sounds bad, but younger and older. But yeah, we can look into that, absolutely.
All right, so I think that's all I have as far as questions for me. Again, I just want to thank everyone for coming. And again, I hear your frustrations, and I'm excited though that we have Tony helping us and Dennis and Alexis. I think that the survey was successful, and I think gathering everyone's feedback was positive. So again, I'm very excited to see what comes out of this process. And if anyone has any more suggestions or idea, and in addition to reaching out to Mr. Morita or Ms. Brown, I'm always accessible and available. So please call or email me with any. I'll put my email and my phone number in the chat message. So feel free to reach out to me at any time. And again, thank you everyone for coming tonight.
Thank you so much, and yes, we will continue to work, and you can all see the progress that we'll start moving forward. We'll keep you in the loop. Just as you were contacted with the information to join us this evening, we'll be sure to send out updates on what's going on with your park in that regard. So and we're always available and accessible to answer your questions, and we look forward to seeing the improvements come to fruition, and we will not stop looking at ways to improve it and funding sources to do so. So with that, we will, this video, once it's downloaded, we will put it on our YouTube channel. So if you ever want to go back and look at this, just to, did they say they were going to start in October, or to, anything of that nature, this will be accessible for you to watch back on that. And we look forward to continuing our conversation. Thank you all very much.